Oh my word, the utility and downstairs loo, I don't even know where to start. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We're going back in time a little bit on this one because one of the projects that we never really got round to showing you as part of our extension build was sorting out the kind of pantry area and downstairs loo, which was the old kitchen. So this is going to be a separate mini-series to the main extension, which is hopefully finished by now, since I want to go over this in quite a lot of detail. It's one of those projects that involves a lot of different skills, from drainage and plumbing through to making a stud wall and various important requirements for building regulations. So I'm going to go through everything from exactly what screws and glues I'm using all the way through to my preferred method for hacking a hole in a wall made of very hard bricks and joining into a live soil stack. Just to orientate you, this was the old kitchen, and as part of our extension we're turning this space into a new downstairs toilet and utility room cum pantry. By the way, we're calling it a pantry because at the moment we're not 100% sure if we're going to have enough room for a sink in it. I think we will, but technically if there's no sink and there's nothing producing humidity, I don't think it classes as a utility room. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, there needs to be enough room for our washing machine, tumble dryer, hopefully a little sink, and then lots and lots of shelving for storage. Also, if we ever decide to get a heat pump in the future, this would probably be quite a good space for the hot water cylinder. So we'd never really cleared out that room since moving in. It's been a bit of a temporary junk storage area. So pretty much half of what we've moved into the garage, and then everything else, I'm getting Mrs. Mac to sort this out. I don't want to get in trouble, but a lot of this is just destined for the bin, like pointless old COVID tests. What's this? Oh no, that needs to be kept. That's a filter for the Roomba, I think. So, bye-bye utility sink. You've served us well. As I say, this sink and tap was from the original kitchen, but it's really seen better days. I was debating keeping it on the off chance that we could fit it into the pantry cum utility room thing, but you know, the tap's knackered and dripping. The sink is scratched to hell. I mean, it's been through the full renovation and it's not the best of quality sinks anyway. So yeah, bye sink, this can go now. What I will do, on the off chance that I have a change of heart, I'll add this to a spare building materials pile, just temporarily. I'm not hoarding it, it will be going a journey, but just in case, once this is all done, we'll find that this is like the perfect size to fit in a spot, but I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be too big. I might keep the waste because I did buy a new waste for that. It is going to be a bit like one of those slide puzzles, this one, because it's like where to put everything while you're doing the work. Now, did I bother to install isolation valves on our temporary sink? Of course I did. Why wouldn't I have done that? Release the pressure. Check it is actually off. So as I say, I'll keep the waste because there's really nothing wrong with it. It's basically brand new, and I'll give it a bit of a clean up and we can reuse the whole trap and everything. And now that that's disconnected, I should be able to get a bit easier access to that pipe from this side. Oh, there we go. Got it. And because I knew I would have to take this waste out, I just left a temporary joint here, so it's only held together with plumber's mate. And by the way, that never leaked once with just the temporary plumber's mate holding that together. And is there anything better than a 10p piece for getting the waste out? Yeah, it's a bit grim, so I'm not going to show you the inside, but it is literally brand new. It's only been used for like a year or something, because it was one of the first things that were replaced when we moved in. thought there would be considerably more spiders under this. So the general plan here, by the way, the worktop's pretty grim, so there's no point in keeping that. But there's nothing really wrong with these units. So for the minute, we'll keep hold of them. They're nice, decent 18mm units, and we can hopefully make use of them in the new pantry once it's all done. But we can't really make that decision yet, so we'll just kind of keep them somewhere. What I will do here, I mean, we shouldn't get any water from the washing machine kind of backfilling this way, but just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to pop this on. I'll show you in a second, but again, plumber's mate is quite handy for like little temporary joins like this. Just make a little sausage. So this is all just dry fit together. It should be fine. It's a strong enough kind of fit that smells and things shouldn't come through. And the only place where water might backfeed from the washing machine, but it would have to come uphill, so it's not very likely. But the only place water might come through is this joint here. It's not going to go all the way up here and come out of this joint. And as I say, we've got the plumber's mate there, and we've just got a dry fit end cap on. As I say, it just keeps the smells out, and it means we can still use the washing machine. One other thing that's worth mentioning here, and I've moved the washing machine and stuff out the road because they're ancient and they're getting replaced as part of all of this anyway, but it's worth quickly chatting about these. These now get known as dead legs because they're not getting used for anything, and in these pipes there's now just standing water, and you have to be really careful with that. You shouldn't leave long dead legs like that on a system because you can start to get bacteria, nasty things, Legionella and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, never leave your pipes like that for any length of time. It can be really quite dangerous, but because hopefully we're going to have this turned around quite quickly, I'm not going to cut these off yet because I haven't decided where things are going to run yet. And because we've got isolation valves on the end, I can always periodically just flush some fresh water through so that it's not just stagnant water sitting in these pipes. But you do need to take that quite seriously. Don't leave dead legs on your plumbing. Anyway, what we'll probably end up doing here, because we're going to keep the washing machine and tumble dryer over on this side here, but the likelihood is the new tumble dryer will be able to be plumbed straight into the waste through an appliance connector. So we'll just add that to the top of this standpipe and probably cut it a little bit shorter. But there's no need to kind of touch any of this at the minute. There's still water in the trap, so there's no smells coming out of that. So we'll tidy up all of this once we've worked out exactly where the new wall's going and we've got kind of some of the stud work in at least, and then we can kind of thread stuff through in the correct places. But what we don't want to do is start rejigging all the plumbing and then find that we can't get studs where we want them and stuff like that. So next job is to work out exactly where the soil pipe is going to come through the wall over here. So into the garage, and here is the stack coming down here. Sorry, really hard to show you what's going on because there's so much junk in the road, but you'll get to see a little bit later down the line. But what we're going to do is break into the stack down the bottom there, put a new connector in, go through the wall. We'll probably have to rejig the waste that's coming in at the side there, which is current washing machine and boiler condensate waste, because I think we're going to have to come in maybe a little bit higher up. I'm not sure. We'll work that out. But in a nutshell, we need to work out where this poop pipe is on the other side of the wall, and we need to be pretty accurate with that because I don't want to make the hole in the wrong place. So the best bet here is to take a known point on both sides of the wall, and we've got a known point with where the boiler flue comes out. So all we really need to do is measure the distance from the left-hand side of the boiler flue there to the right-hand side of the stack. And that is exactly 102 centimetres. And then all I'm doing is measuring 102 across from the flue, which puts it there. So I've put a mark on the wall just there. So that's the left-hand side of the pipe. It's a 110mm pipe. So I've put another mark, 110mm that way. I've split the difference to get the midpoint, and then I've got the laser running all the way down to get that same point down at floor level-ish. So that's allowed us to put a mark on the wall here. That is the exact centre of the stack behind this wall. So then we need to work out, depending on your toilet, what height we need to go through the wall, and I've put a mark on here because I've kind of worked it out. I'm going for around 170mm, which is probably a little bit on the low side, but I can always use an offset pan connector, which is fine. Bearing in mind that there's a finished floor to go on here, I might actually go a little bit lower than that. But the key thing is that we now need to carry that measurement over to the other side of the wall. A few different ways you can do that. You could drill through, but how do you know that you're holding your drill exactly level? A much more accurate way of doing it is we'll use the laser. So I'll just switch the cross beam on, and then all I'm going to do is measure down from that laser point down to the mark on the wall, which is 4 centimeters. That beam goes all the way across the room, right through and into the garage. So I don't know if you can see, there's the beam there. I'm going to measure 40mm down from that. So there's 40, and just put a mark on the wall there. And then all I need to do on this side of the wall is set the laser up wherever. It doesn't really matter where it goes. Preferably higher than the mark will probably be easier. That'll do there. So that beam now goes all the way across to the other side of the garage where the soil pipe is. And all I need to do now is measure from that mark to the beam, which is 150mm. And then over on the other side, I'll measure 150mm down from the beam, and that will then transfer that mark to exactly the midpoint of where I need to come into the soil stack. But as I say, laser is your friend for a job like this. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, but we're going to build a little false wall at the back here to hide all of this pipe work so that we don't even have to think about that. So that's why this is inset from the wall a little bit. It just gives enough room for the stud to go down this right-hand side. But the next bit now is to work out, we know where our centre point is for the actual loo, so we're now going to work out how wide this is going to be. And we're going to go for 900mm wide. That should be plenty room for a little downstairs loo, enough room for a little hand wash basin as well. So that's going to be the right hand side of the stud there, and then that'll be the left hand side over there. The top plate is going to be a little bit more awkward because, well, luckily the joists run in that direction. If the joists ran that way, would have a much more awkward time of it, because really what you should then do is put some noggins in between the joists so that you've got a fixing point. But we don't need to do that because the joists are running that way and the wall's going to go that way. But what we do need to know is exactly where these joists are so that we can fix the top plate of the stud wall securely up into the joists, the ceiling joists, or the floor joists, whatever you want to call them. And the way I'm doing that is I've just used my little detector here to go around looking for where this plasterboard is screwed or nailed into the joists, because that will give a good indication of where the joists are. So all I've done is I've gone round with my detector, and you can kind of see on the display where we're getting a really high reading. So we're looking around there, and then what I'm doing is I'm using little rare earth magnets, just little circular rare earth magnets, to kind of hone in on exactly where that nail is. There it is. So this is going through several layers of plaster and plasterboard, and then I can mark out exactly where the joists are. Now, this is one area where we're going to have to be really, really careful, because this ceiling void is full of stuff. Electric cables, central heating pipes, water pipes, all sorts is above here. So if we miss the joist, we've potentially got a problem. We might hit something nasty. So we're going to have to be really, really careful when we come to mark up exactly where the top plate of this wall's going, that we're definitely going into the joist. So what I'll probably do is drill away a little bit of the ceiling, because it doesn't matter, it's going to be covered up anyway, but I'll probably drill a bit of a bigger hole and just double check that that is definitely the joist that we're going into. So that's nearly all of the preparation done. So the next bit, I'm just going to mark up the right hand side of this wall. So I'm only showing the right hand side, but I will mark where the joist's going just as a bit of a reminder. Joist, stud. This is where you have to be really careful not to knock the laser like I just have. And then final bit of marking out, I'm just gonna, well, for starters, I'm gonna put some marks where these magnets are, because I don't want them like falling off, and then I'll lose where the joist is. There's the odd one that just doesn't seem to be in line, and that's probably because when they've plasterboarded this ceiling, because it's been overboarded, they've missed the joist. So for example, this one, I don't know, something's not right here because they just don't line up and the joist isn't like 100mm wide. So yeah, we'll work that out when we come to actually attach the joist, and we'll see if we're missing it or not. But we've got a good idea of where they are. This isn't something that you can like take a bit of a punt on, because a bit of a punt here, if I hit a pipe, the whole ceiling's going to have to come down to repair it, because we can't lift the bedroom floor easily. So folks, as with most things, it's all in the preparation, and we are pretty much ready to rock now. Everything's completely marked up. We know where we're going to be building the wall. We know where the toilet's going to be going through this solid brick wall. So I think next time we're ready to actually start building some stuff. The only thing I haven't done yet is mark up the position of the floor plate, because there's a great big stack of wood in the road. But as soon as that wood's out the road, we can mark where that's going, and we'll probably tackle that next time, along with knocking the great big hole through this wall. We also have a hole to knock through for ventilation as well, and we'll cover that more on a later episode in this little mini series about creating a downstairs loo and a downstairs utility room. For now folks, any questions, pop them down in the comments below as per usual. Be nice to one another, look after each other, and we shall see you next time. Tatty bye.